All right, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. I almost laughed. I almost laughed when I said comedian just then, because tonight there was absolutely no evidence that I'd ever done comedy before in my entire life. Jesus fucking Christ. Last night I said, I've figured it out. I know what to do. Cut the fluff. Just get straight to it. It's all good, because I literally, these words came out of my mouth last night on this podcast. I've figured it out. I know what to do. It's not going to get worse than tonight. And then tonight came along and it got much worse. much fucking worse. Oh my God, I've been on a bombing spree. It is wild. Tonight was next level. The thing is, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I can't work it out. I cut the fluff. I went straight to the thing. But by the time I get to my first joke, the crowd's already off me. They give me like literally maybe 40 seconds. And if I haven't killed in that 40 seconds, they're off. They don't even listen. They didn't even really even listen to the first joke. And it wasn't even that they didn't listen. It was just like confusion. The crowd was confused. I was confused. They were like, has he started yet? I'm like, I've started. I'm like 6 jokes in. And they're starting to look around. And I'm like, wait, stop looking around. There's stuff going on up here. And then I'm going like, what the fuck is happening? And they're going, why the fuck did I buy a ticket to this? And I'm going, why the fuck did you buy a ticket to this? And this is like 5 minutes in. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be a long goddamn hour. And remember how I said I'm absolutely not doing that story again? The story of how I got arrested in Perth? Well, after about 5 to 10 minutes of bombing, I mentioned that I got arrested in Perth, and someone's like, how'd you get arrested? I'm like, do you want me to tell you the story? They're like, yeah. And then I start telling the story, and it's a long, boring story with no punchlines. And that's why I didn't want to tell it. And then I got stuck in the story, and one guy goes, oh my God, this story's long. And I'm like, yeah. It is long, cunt. It fucking is. And those 2 guys ended up walking out. And I was like, thank God. Thank God they don't have to see the rest of this. And so they left. And that was fine. And the other thing is, my mate Morgan sent his friends to see the show. And they were actually laughing. I spoke to them afterwards. They enjoyed the show. Here's the other thing. Like, a couple of people enjoy it. Like last night, felt like a full bomb. Wall to wall, and then they come out, that was great. And I'm like, what was great? There's been nothing great happen yet. But they seem to enjoy it. And I was like, that was hell. They're like, really? You felt like that? I'm like, what part wasn't hell? It was just chaos. And then I had, the other thing was, none of it was podcast. No one was podcast listeners. So I didn't get any easy laughs either. It was just pure hardcore Perth people. I'm starting to get the vibe. Perth people don't like the Boyle very much. So there was a row of like young Perthians, a guy, and then 3 girls, and then another guy. And like, this is how they were looking at me. They were looking at me like, especially the women. Well, one of the guys, he wasn't even making eye contact with me. He was just sitting right in front of me. No eye contact. I actually said, make some eye contact with me, cunt. And he's like, I'm trying. And I'm like, I know, it's hard. So in that row of 3 girls and 2 guys, the 3 girls were sort of looking at me like encouraging, like, oh, we so want this to go well for you, but it's so bad. That's how they were looking at me. They were like, we wish we could help you, but there's really nothing we can do. You're horrible. And they were the good ones. They were good compared to the people behind them, because the people behind them were 4 or 5, I don't even know, elderly ladies. This is just Edinburgh all over again. So, like, they look. I don't think I made any of those ladies laugh at all for 1 second during the whole hour. Not even a smirk. One of the old ladies had her eyes closed, and I was looking at her, and I'm like, that lady's fallen asleep. That's never happened to me before. And then she opens her eyes, and she's like, I'm not asleep. I'm just processing this. It's fucking wild out here in Perth. She was just like trying to process it. So I've worked out that Perth people don't like, well, they don't like overt racism. They don't like misogyny, sexism, explicit drug use. They don't like you being mean to people. They don't like any of it. They don't like you teasing religion. I didn't even get to the autistic stuff. That would have just been a bridge too far. That would have been too much. Anyway, I ended up speaking to my mate Sam Kisajukian, who's in New York at the moment doing a fucking 2-month run of his show. 300 paintings. Great show. If you're in New York, go see it. And he's done Perth a million times. He's like, you're losing them at the start. He's like, you've got to get on their level, because there's a lot of like stigma from coast to coast. They think people from the East Coast look down on people from Perth, and we do, but you can't let them know that. So he's like, if you're going to go hard at the start and say some shit, you got to be like friendly about it and then go hard. I'm coming on stage going, this fucking city's cooked. There's like some weird shit going on. It's like you all have a fucking secret. Or maybe it's just meth. Is it meth? And apparently there's big meth problem. And I say apparently, and it's very obvious if you look on the street, meth is a fucking problem. So bringing up meth in Perth is not the best, because I think it's affected a lot of people. So maybe I'll cut the meth bit out. Anyway, I've only got 5 shows left. It is fucking bonkers. It's exactly the same as Edinburgh a few years back. It's going to be fucking, once I finish this run, I'm going to be fucking murdering again anyway. So it's good. I'm just taking the hits. You got to take the hits. Jesus Christ. I tell you what, like when you're doing stand up and it starts going bad after 4 minutes, I'm exaggerating there. It started going bad after 40 seconds. My first joke, it was over. When you're doing an hour and it starts going bad after 40 seconds, like, it's quite, like, an hour looks pretty far into the distance. You don't even know if you can get to the finish line. Like, where is it? Where is the finish line? Where's the end of this first minute? I remember I was thinking, I'm like, well, that first joke didn't even register. No, it was worse than that. It registered. It just got absolutely goddamn nothing. Oh my God. It was brutal. But luckily, I got a little bit of a cleanser because I bumped into another comedian, Andrew Hamilton, who's fucking like a superstar at the moment, selling out everything. You probably know him from the internet. Anyway, he was telling me about this other comedian, this Greek comedian, who's a fucking murderer. He murders everywhere, but apparently he was bombing tonight. He bombed for like the first 15, 20 minutes, and then throughout his whole show, was like, fuck that, I'm dropping it. I'm just going straight to my best material. I'm doing my best of the best for the rest of the show, and then bombed for another 40 minutes. So that was nice to hear. It's nice to hear other people bombing when you're bombing. It fills the soul. Anyway, fucking back to the drawing board tomorrow. It can only get worse from here. That's how I feel now. Yesterday I was like, it's not going to get any worse. Today I'm like, I feel like it's going to get much, much worse. It's going to get much worse. Anyway, fucking that'll do it for tonight, and I'll see ya the fuck later.